First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you very much for joining us. We are live streaming here out of the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom, as we do every weekday. We start at 1 o'clock and go throughout the afternoon, and we cover a wide range of topics here on this show. Sometimes it's breaking news. Sometimes it's stories about events or things that are going on in the area. Right now, we're talking about Chauncey Billups, at least was, head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. And we are talking to him just making sure that we had some little tech issues going on there. We're going to be talking about Chauncey Billups here today and just the arrest that happened this morning and everything associated with that. So if you haven't caught up, Chauncey Billups was arrested for being part of a high-stakes illegal poker game involving the mafia. There are over 30 plus people who have been arrested in a related case also associated with NBA players. Well, one current NBA player, one former NBA player. There's a lot to unravel here. This paperwork that I have in my hand is just part of the grand jury notes on this. We're joined now by Dave Deckard from Blazers Edge to talk all about this and really go into detail about what's going on. But Dave, I think I want to start off with you. The Blazers Edge, obviously, covering the Blazers for so many years and a go-to source for a lot of fans everywhere. And I want to ask you, from your perspective, just this morning, when you wake up, you see this news, Chauncey Billups arrested after this game last night, where they looked pretty good. I mean, they lost to the Timberwolves, but, it looked like we had something going here. You wake up, Chauncey Billups is arrested. What was your first thoughts on that?
Well, obviously, it's really shocking. I mean, there have only been a couple of events that have rivaled it. I mean, Kevin Pritchard being fired during the NBA draft or just before was one. I think probably some Greg Oden news, maybe. Damian Lillard trade. Other than that, it's pretty hard. I mean, Paul Allen passing. Those are the ones I can think of right away that are shocking or notable enough to rival this. Other than that, I mean, there's no preparation for it. There's nothing you can do. It just comes out of the blue, and you got to take it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, take it for what it is, and and really looking through this. I know that he's going to be in court here at some point this afternoon, maybe in 20 minutes, half hour or so, we think. And I'm assuming we'll probably find out a little bit more there too about what exactly the charges are going to be. But this is, this is pretty shocking stuff to look through and to go through and see some of this. For those of you who haven't read some of it, I mean, it involves these illegal high-stakes poker games. This is according to the grand jury's charges, so this is coming directly from that. It involved, like I mentioned, mafia members. It involved that they used advanced wireless technologies to read cards dealt in each poker hand and relay that information to the defendants and co-conspirators participating in the illegal poker games. There's talk about using contact lenses, with that special contact lenses, to see notes on cards. And Chauncey Billups allegedly was one of the people that would help lure these victims into the game, maybe with a celebrity or something along those lines, and then they would take this money from these people, up to $7.15 million, according to the grand jury charge. So a lot to unpack with there when it comes to Chauncey and whatever happened. I would assume, I'm curious what you think, but I would assume this ends his NBA coaching career, no matter what goes on here.
Quite possibly. See, there are a couple strains going on. One is what you mentioned, the poker ring, which he participated in apparently when he was still a player. He was not yet a coach.
Okay,
and
yes.
Basically, he was the front man. He was the guy that lured people in. Maybe that's not a good word. He attracted people into the game. This is sometimes done with legal games, with home games. I mean, who hasn't played poker on a Friday night? But in this case, it was much higher profile, luring in professional players, whales, people with a lot of money, right? And that happens much rarer, obviously. But also, when it does happen, it's in the purview of organized crime in certain areas, including New York, which is one of the places where this operated. So basically, when you try to do it one way, the organized crime people get in there and say, we're the ones who do this, but by the way, would you like to be a part of this? Because it seems like a good gig to us. And what it ended up with is what you described, that everybody's in the know except the poor, what they call fish, players who are participating in the game and have no idea that it's rigged. They have all these ways to tell what's going on and to dupe you out of your money, basically. And that's what they did. And Chauncey apparently was one of the people who is not just a front person, but also allegedly took a cut. That's one whole strain. That's bad enough. There's the other one that involves Terry Rozier and other people, which is literally taking inside information and using it or disseminating it so that it can be used to bet on games. This is more in Rozier's category and those people. However, in that indictment, there is mention of anonymous NBA sources who provided this information. And one of them was a player whose years matched Chauncey's period of service in the NBA, and also who later became a coach in Oregon whose years matched Chauncey's service with the Blazers, which means that, okay, it's possible that Chauncey fed information to people who are betting. Now, it may not have been that privilege of information, but that is something that professional leagues look on very poorly because it affects the integrity of the game. If you're a coach and say this or that player is not going to play, you are also the decision maker who determines whether or not they play. That affects how you make your decisions, which affects the integrity of the game. And if that happened, I think there's no doubt that Billups cannot continue to coach or be associated with the league. The poker thing is probably pretty bad. It will affect his ability to serve for sure. You might be able to see him coming back from that one someday if he's pristine, but it won't be soon, and his role might be limited. But if anything he did actually impacted games or had the potential to, it's hard to see him ever being allowed to interact with the NBA again.
Yeah, 100%. And one of those things that you referenced there, too, I've got part of that indictment here. I'll just read it for everybody, for those who haven't. It says, on or about March 24th, 2023, the Portland Trail Blazers played the Chicago Bulls. Prior to the March 24th game, co-conspirator 8, there are no names, well, his name's not in there, told the defendant, Eric Ernest, that the Trailblazers were going to be tanking, i.e. intentionally losing, to increase their odds of getting a better draft pick in the upcoming NBA draft. The co-conspirator 8 told Ernest before the news was publicly announced that several of the Trailblazers' best players, including Player 1, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, would not be playing in the March 24th game. The information that the Trailblazers would be tanking and not playing Player 1 was not available to the public. And that is, as you mentioned, that kind of an allegation, that is huge. The NBA is going to take this obviously very seriously. They have said that they're analyzing what's going on. The Trailblazers are as well. Excuse me. And Chauncey Billups now is on leave from the team. That wording may have changed here recently, but he is not with the team, obviously right now. And currently the Blazers are now going to be having Tiago Splitter, assistant coach Tiago Splitter, former player, is going to be stepping in as the interim head coach. So looking at it from that point, a lot to figure out here with Chauncey as far as what he's charged with, what he's associated with all of that. But that lining up with that March 23rd game is not good, or March 24th game. Going for the Blazers from their standpoint, like, how do you move forward from this kind of a blow? I mean, it's been, 4 years of building this team under Chauncey Billups. Some people didn't want him here to begin with. There were a lot of bad years there of losing, which understandable, rebuild. But now we're finally up to this point where he wanted that defensive-oriented team. You've got these younger players. You got some good contracts. Seems like, Damian Lillard's back. It seems like things were moving in the right direction. And then you have this happen. Like, how do you move forward from the Blazers standpoint?
Well, there are two threads. One is they're going to have to figure out what to do with Billups. And something to know is that what happens from here forward may affect how much money they owe him. Coaches' contracts are guaranteed, but there is basically a moral turpitude clause in there where if you violate certain ethical standards, that your contract can be null and voided. So the Blazers may not move on things officially until some of that is determined, because it may determine whether or not they pay millions of dollars to him or not. As far as the team goes, I mean, I think this drastically affects the season, obviously. Now, they'll say it doesn't. They're going to go out and play and do whatever. But anybody who's been in an organization with this level of disruption understands that there's a serious bump there. It's weird. I mean, do you even know? Do you come into practice? Who's going to lead the practice? We know Tiago Splitter does, but he's had what, 3 hours to figure out how to do that? And then, you know, what are you going to do? How do you prepare? How did things change? Who substitutes in? The whole relationships you had with the head coach, and you've worked this out over 4 years with Billups, and now all of a sudden there's a new guy in. It's all confusing. So they're going to have to regroup. It'll be interesting to see how they play on Friday night versus Golden State, whether they come out and they fight that hard or whether there's confusion, substitution patterns, all that stuff. And keep in mind, too, if you watch the Minnesota game, those substitution patterns were unique. I mean, Billups was doing something that nobody else in the NBA does. Does Splitter keep that up? Or does the team continue that? Or what happens? Do you have the guts to do that, especially if you keep losing? Now, Billups was extended, so he had carte blanche to pursue this system as far as he wanted. He was going to make his money anyway. Can Splitter do that if they keep losing, which they were probably going to do anyway? Does he have to make a change? It has the potential to affect everything, and this is not a good development, obviously, for the continuity of the team or what they were preparing to do this year.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and it's unfortunate just seeing, you know, where they're at right now. I think, yeah, that's a lot on Tiago Splitter. I think that's a good point. You know, a few hours notice of, hey, here's what's happening. You're now in charge, at least in the interim. Do you think there's a possibility that they go out and get another head coach? I mean, we have a new owner coming in. There's all of that that's happening. That seems like maybe not, but would they do that if they do have a clean cut from Billups?
I mean, they could. But again, what do you do now? Look, it goes down to the micro stuff. Again, you know, Jeremy Grant had a fantastic game last night. Do you dare to sub him out? Do you dare to not start him? Right? Billups could. He had the seniority, the tenure, the security to do that. If Jeremy Grant keeps playing well and Jeremy Grant wants to start, what does Tiago Splitter do? What does a new head coach do? I mean, whether or not it almost makes who's sitting in that seat immaterial compared to the circumstances for a while. That's the problem that the Blazers are now facing. You could put Phil Jackson in that seat. Well, he might have enough cachet, but, you know, he would still have problems sorting all this out, let alone anyone they are likely to hire. So they're going to go through a couple-month adjustment period. Since they're going to do that anyway, I'm guessing they'll just go with Splitter. But, I mean, who knows at this point? It's probably chaos over there, just like it is out among the fans. And I'm not sure they know how they'll settle this out yet.
Yeah, I'm sure there's not a whole lot of game plans for something like this to occur, you know, as far as what you do. And, yeah, there is. I do have the statement from the Blazers here. I'll read this. They said, we are aware of the allegations involving head coach Chauncey Billups, and the Trailblazers are fully cooperating with the investigation. Billups has been placed on immediate leave, and Tiago Splitter will assume head coaching duties in the interim. Any further questions should be directed to the NBA. So they put that out there, sending things back to the NBA for those. And the NBA itself, you know, looking at the overall part, they have to be very concerned about what's going on here. You know, between Billups and Terry Rozier and even the former player Damon Jones, but just having that association in with this and those allegations of knowing things ahead of time is not a good look for the NBA right now, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, they've been back and forth with this with Malik Beasley in Detroit too, and you know, it's not a good look. I don't think it's not completely unprecedented. Major League Baseball has had some of this famously in their past. This is part of how this came to realization. It appears that it's the NBA's turn. I don't think this will be anything near a fatal blow to them or even probably that significant of a speed bump, likely. But it is something that they have to resolve and resolve quickly and definitively, because you got to remember, this is also the league that's been more accused than any other of fixing things or having games go wonky. Everybody remembers the Lakers back in the early 2000s with Shaq and Kobe and sacrificing Sacramento and all that stuff. And the referees, it's their second go around with this. I think they'll be in the business of saying, look, we have zero tolerance. We're going to take care of this. It is done. And by the way, we don't want to hear from anybody who's associated with this. And if you ever think about doing this again, you better think twice, because we will come down hard, decisively, and permanently on you.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like a decisive action like that, they're going to have to make an example out of it. Again, depending on where this all goes, these are charges out there. Nobody's convicted yet, but yeah, these are very serious charges, and it's coming from the FBI. It's very thorough, these indictments that are out there. Well, Dave, just looking at it, from now, here's where we're at from a Blazers fan perspective. What do we do as Blazers fans? It's just like one more thing here that comes in.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit snake bit, and this is where I suppose most Blazer fans, God bless them, are hoping that a change in ownership will change some of this. Probably at this point, this is one of those signs where Control-Alt-Delete is appropriate, at least for management, for ownership, for the direction of the team. That was probably going to happen anyway. Blazer fans will welcome that even more. They just have to hope that this wasn't a lost season in the interim trying to figure out this stuff. Now, here's the asterisk. It may have been anyway. Even with the new style of play, there's no guarantee that this is going to work. There's no guarantee the Blazers could even keep it up. They couldn't. They fatigued in the fourth quarter of game one and lost it to the Minnesota Timberwolves because they couldn't keep up their style of play for 48 minutes. They only managed 42, right?
Yeah.
That's one game, not even 82. So it may not have worked anyway. This could have been a lost season. Unfortunately, the fans will now have a scapegoat, something gloomy to point to about it and say, yet again, this franchise is snake bit. We'll see if they pull out of it. We'll see if new ownership gives a new direction. But I think that's what Blazer fans are hoping for now, a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, agree completely. So bring the new owner in. Well, Dave, thank you very much for joining us too, and all your coverage too that you do, BlazersEdge.com. Anything else you want to let people know about?
Yeah, I mean, you can check our site for the continued news. Also, on good news, we'll be announcing Blazers Edge Night and your chance to send kids to see the Blazers next spring. That's going to be coming up soon. So if you want to contribute positively to something, that always works. Until then, batten down the hatches, watch the games, hope Denny Advia and Shaden Sharp continue to blossom, and go Blazers, I guess.
Yeah, go Tiago. Yeah. All right, yeah. Dave, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time and insight on all of this. And thanks for being here on Fox 12 Now with me.
Sure. Have fun.
All right, thanks. All right, we'll let Dave go. We'll continue on here talking about the Chauncey Billups situation there and what's going to be happening. So I did read some of that stuff just to reiterate, some of these charges. There's a lot of people involved in this. 30 plus people. There's the mafia is involved. There's 3 different crime families that I've seen. Somewhere else I saw there was another one. So there's at least 3 of the New York mafia crime families involved. There's some interesting nicknames for some of these guys. I mean, it's wild going through this. We'll take a look here to see what else we can figure out from this. And again, Chauncey Billups, we've been told, is going to be in court, in federal court in Portland sometime this afternoon. We don't know exactly when. You can't film in there, but we will get you any information that we get on that as well when it does happen. For right now, though, I did also speak to John Canzano from the Bald-Faced Truth, johncanzano.com, and he is going to be, I spoke to him earlier today just about his thoughts on this, and obviously a longtime reporter here in Portland. So let's go ahead and run that right now. Let's hear what John Canzano had to say. Oh, okay. Looks like that one's. We are live here. I'm going to go ahead and take this over. If we can, I'm going to go ahead and take that over. Let me see. We'll put up some Chauncey Billups here for just a second. And I need to take that, take control over here. And just a second, everybody. So apologies. We are live. Sometimes this stuff happens. And we'll do that. And then we'll pull up our John Canzano interview. Hey, if you've ever wondered if we are live when we do this show, this is your answer right here. We are live. And you know what? Tech sometimes does this to you. Here we go.
it's never good when the FBI is knocking on your door, you know, and we can joke, hey, our NBA coach gets up earlier than your NBA coach, but this doesn't work. I mean, you know, look, I came out of last night's season opener feeling hopeful. Team had played well, good energy, young team. You know, I'm sure Chauncey Billups went to bed thinking about the rotation and who he should be playing. We wake up with the rug pulled out from under us. I feel like the Blazer fans are like Charlie Brown, and Lucy has pulled the football out again. And here you are, you know, feet up in the air, parallel to the ground again, whether it is the yellow Hummer or dog fighting or drag racing on Broadway or the airport metal detector. You have seen this before. You have been through this. You have lived through this. If you're a Blazer fan, it's just another gut punch and another distraction. And it's underscored by the fact that Tom Dundon, the brand new owner of the Blazers, is inside the arena last night watching his first game in person. He's going to own this team. Now you've got the coach arrested. I don't think Chauncey Billups is going to coach again in the NBA. He's certainly done with the Blazers. You have a lot of questions, a lot of tentacles, and an investigation, and none of this is good. And so, you know, here we go again. You know, I woke up and thinking about college football and the Blazers opener, and certainly this Billups story has dominated the news cycle.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that you just hit on right there. I mean, all those other hits that Blazers fans have had, Isaiah Ryder on the side of the road. But, that, you know, there's lots of them throughout the history of that. But this, you know, with Chauncey Billups, with so many years, you know, what was it, 21 that he came on as head coach? I forget exactly what year, 21. Yeah. So, you know, some pretty rough years there starting off. And naturally, you know, rebuilding the team and all of that. A lot of Blazers fans questioning whether he should be the coach, going for this defensive mindset and finally getting all these players in place. And as you mentioned last night, I mean, yeah, they lost, but they played great, at least as far as, you know, compared to what we've seen previously and against the Timberwolves on top of that. And it seemed like this is the year to start making those steps. And now this. And now Billups.
Yeah, I mean, you have this breath of fresh air coming into the organization. I think when it was announced that the Blazers were for sale, the entire fan base was exhilarated by that. I have not seen the market celebrate like that, and it's because we've all been through this. Whether you're a media member or a fan of this team or a player on this team or you work for the team, can you imagine you have to sell tickets for this team over the last 20 years or sponsorships? Yeah. We have all lived through this. The players have come and gone. The executives have come and gone. But when Billups was hired, let's go back to that. When Billups was hired, the market was split on this because there were questions and allegations about, you know, an alleged sex assault that was in his past, way in his past, and people were asking, like, is this really a guy you would bet on? And Neil Olshey, the GM of the team, just sort of bulldozed through that, brought in his guy. Chauncey Billups was an Olshey guy. Olshey later gets pushed out of the franchise because it's a hostile work environment, allegedly. Now you have Billups under fire. None of this is good. I look at the DNA of this organization, and I have nothing left to say, but like, if this were a friend of yours or a neighbor or a family member, you would say, hey, you need to change something here because this 25-year run that you've been on, there have been some nice moments, Brandon Roy, Damian Lillard, LaMarcus Aldridge, but there's just been a lot of chaos and dysfunction. This is the latest. It's got to stop. I would love to see the Blazers come out today and be a little stronger in their statement about, you know, what the franchise is going to look like moving forward. Tiago Splitter will be the interim coach. I think they're looking for any port in the storm right now. They're reeling a little bit, but this is not good. If you're a Blazer fan, media members, we want to be covering a team that's playing deep in the playoffs and the city's proud of. You know, and I'm looking over at this mess and I'm going, gosh, when will it end? It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I mean, and bringing that up too, I mean, you think about that for, you know, what Blazers fans have gone to, what this organization has, what's happened here over these last years, all those things you mentioned. You know, this doesn't happen, it seems like, in other franchises, in other NBA cities that I'm aware of. I can't think of anything that's quite like this, of so many instances of this thing happening. Talking about Billups, you know, now that, as you mentioned, probably never coaching the NBA again, done, whatever comes of this. Tiago Splitter, let's talk about him. You know, now, how do the Blazers move forward from here? I mean, is there even? I mean, this is kind of. I mean, with this rug pulled out, as you mentioned, like, how do they even move forward?
They've got to separate themselves from Chauncey Billups, first of all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's enough that he's on administrative leave. I think they need to come out and say he will not coach in Portland again. And, they'll evaluate that, how they're going to do that later. I know they're probably worried about, let's give him due process. Let's let this play out. This isn't going to be helpful for the Blazers. You're not going to see that guy on the bench for the Blazers this season. You're not going to see that guy in the news conferences anymore. But all of what went on with Chauncey Billups and the allegations and the tentacles of this, we still don't know. And that's kind of the scary part is Adam Silver's league has cooperated with the FBI. There, for people who are watching this, there are two separate investigations. Like, there's the illegal poker games that apparently were rigged. And Chauncey Billups was used to lure in potential fish, they called them fish, to come play in these games, in these rigged games. And, we're going to find out more about Chauncey's involvement in that and why does he even know these people or how does he know these people. And then there's a separate investigation into two other, former NBA player and a current NBA player who may have been involved in fixing games and fixing the outcomes of games. Are these things ultimately going to become interconnected? How big of a problem is this for the NBA, which, by the way, is in a deep partnership with some of these gambling entities? You've got like the NBA report coming out and then scrolling across the bottom of the screen on ESPN is, hey, go to Bet Now and place a wager on tonight's game. Like, you can't separate these things. It's happening in the NFL, Major League Baseball, college sports, the NBA. They're all looking for revenue, and they're looking to sports gambling to help provide that revenue, and yet they're having all these gambling problems. These things are all interconnected. We can't ignore it, but the Blazers this season, they've got to change the story. Thiago Splitter's got to make it about basketball somehow, and you got to distance yourself from Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, I mean, distance 100%. I mean, Thiago now being named the head coach. I don't know much about his coaching ability. I mean, I know obviously he's an NBA champion before playing with the Spurs. We'll find out, I suppose. Do you think there's any chance that they hire a new head coach? I mean, I know that's really thinking out a lot further than what we know is going to happen for right now, but would they bring in somebody else?
Given that this team's in escrow and that Tom Dundon and his group apparently are buying the Blazers for $4.25 billion, they're not going to want to do anything contractually that inhibits the organization. I think they really will look to Tom Dundon to make the hire of the coach he wants to bring in. When you look at owners who come into franchises, the best predictor of behavior is past behavior. Psychologists and sociologists will tell you that. So you look at what Dundon did in Carolina when he acquired the NHL team there. He cleaned house in the front office. He has a new coaching staff. He even got a brand new broadcaster. It caused a lot of problems and a lot of angst with the fan base when he got rid of their beloved broadcaster. I expect he's going to do the same thing in Portland. I think he will clean house. I think you'll have a fresh front office. I think you'll have a fresh coaching staff. And maybe that's what this organization needs to move forward, because I have long believed that it's not a curse. It's not somebody, nobody has a voodoo doll here. Nobody's been like cursing this organization. It's just some bad DNA and bad decisions. I think Neil Olshey, the general manager, this one's on him, even though he's gone. He pushed for Billups. I was one of the media members that came out and said, you should not hire this guy. This is rife with problems. And Neil Olshey wanted his guy in that position and hired Chauncey Billups. And, the fact that you don't have an owner over the top who's got any kind of vision, you had a trustee in place. Paul Allen, the death of Paul Allen, unfortunately, has put this franchise in a position where it's rudderless. I'm hopeful that new ownership will come in and change the story for the Trailblazers. Because you know why? Ultimately, it's not about really the players or the coaches. When I got to town, 20-something years ago, 25 years ago, I looked at those photos from 1977 and the parade on Broadway. Dr. Jack Ramsey, Bill Walton. I talked to Walton so many times about it. Maurice Lucas about it. Those guys captured a city. It's about the people who showed up to the parade. It wasn't just about the players. It was about the fans. It's about the people who have grown up in the state of Oregon, in the city of Portland, who have never seen a basketball team that they could be proud of. That's a shame, and I hope that changes with new ownership and a fresh outlook.
Well, hopefully we'll get that, with Dundon, and we'll find out, I guess more here soon. I mean, a lot to find out here today. Chauncey Billups is going to be allegedly in court here later on today, and I'm sure more information is going to be coming out. Well, John, I want to say thank you very much, for having some time to talk to us about this too, to go through this. Anything you want to let people know?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've got more. I'll be reporting at johncanzano.com. Of course, I'm happy to come on and talk to your viewers. But I just think, look, if you're a Blazer fan right now, continue to hold that organization accountable and ask more of it. We can't be okay with lowering the bar and saying, bad season or bad actors on the team or a bad coach. None of this is okay. So I just encourage fans to continue to hold that team to a high standard.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Really appreciate it. We'll let you go.
Thanks, man.
All right, yeah, thank you to John there for joining us. Obviously, I spoke to him earlier today, and we just spoke to Dave Deckard from Blazers Edge. A lot of people having opinions and finding out more and more about these charges. So we will be here throughout the afternoon. We cover a wide range of topics on the show, but things like this, breaking news or really big topics like the head coach of the Trailblazers being arrested for being part of an illegal high-stakes poker ring. That's a pretty big deal. So we've been, again, we'll get you all the information that we have. I will be having our own sports director, Nick Krupke, on later on today. So presumably here over the next hour or so, we don't know exactly. We'll find out a little bit more after Billups is in court, which is scheduled to be this afternoon. And we'll find out a little bit more about what happens after that. And we'll talk to Nick there at 3. But if anything happens in between now and then, I'll be here for you with that breaking news, whatever it may be. But we have plenty more that we are talking about on this show. I'll be back at 2 o'clock talking about Oaks Amusement Park there in Southeast Portland and a 20-year plan that they have. So that's coming up again at 2 o'clock. So whatever platform you're on, you can come right back here and watch me there. Don't forget to download the Fox 12 Oregon apps. We're going to take a break for now, and we will be back soon. Again, I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.